I think the problem, because the systems democratically are different, we have different problems. The problem in Europe, continental Europe, and I would say the British system, which I taught, is very different again, is coalition governments are inevitable in a proportional representation system. The problem with a coalition government, and we've just seen it in Germany, is that it's an extreme example, the Grand Coalition, but you can't raise and lower taxes at the same time. You can't be pro-Russia and anti-Russia at the same time. You can't be pro-America and anti-America. There are binary choices that countries have to make economically, particularly economically, but also in foreign affairs. And if you're left with this, Dr. Dolittle, push me, pull you, two-headed character pulling in different directions, the animal doesn't go very far. And so you end up, the innate state of action in Europe is non-action, because you always have a coalition government stopping things. Italy is another example. They had two communist parties in the last center-left government that stopped any efforts that Romano Prodi made to reform. And he was a perfectly rational guy about what needed doing, but he couldn't do it. And everyone knew this. Everyone would shrug and say, move on. In Germany at the moment, after the first year of kind of foreign policy glory, it's been very quiet. And the answer is because Steinmeier and Merkel are running different foreign policies. And neither of them can master the other. And so the end result is nothing much happens. And nothing much happening is fine when times are okay. I'm a good Jeffersonian. I'm in favor of nothing much happening a lot. I worry when these guys get ideas. As a Burkean, Robespierre had an idea, a very bad one, but an idea. The problem is in a time of crisis, you can't act decisively. And so it discredits the system. And that's what I worry about happening in Europe now, is no one acting decisively. The French model, which is very different, its problem, it's way too elitist, way too cut off. The opposition is the street in France, not the parliament. I mean, parliament's a joke. Can't act decisively, can move rather quickly. That's a strength of that model. The negative of the model is it's so elitist, it's easy to lose touch, as Chirac found out, certainly, as de Gaulle found out back to '68. Danny the Red and all that stuff. That's the danger there. For America, it's very different. That if you look at it in a way, Obama's got everything going for him. He controls, the court's about evenly divided, but he's about to pick up a seat there as Justice Souter quits, but you'll get another liberal, not a big difference. The Senate, dominated by Democrats to the point that they may have a filibuster-proof majority, and that means they can ram legislation through and the other side can't stop it by talking it to death. Very rare. It last happened in the 1970s, so it's been 30 years since we've had that much of a majority. They will get it in Minnesota. I mean, the Democrat will win the seat there eventually, so that's coming. The House, they have a 40-seat majority. It's comfortable. And Obama has a very high-powered cabinet and presidential team. So in theory, he can do exactly what he wants. And you've seen the Americans move very quickly, remarkably quickly by European standards. 1 week it's the cars, the next week it's the insurance company, last week was the credit cards, the bailout, the stimulus, bang, 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 bang. The problem with that system is that you own it. He can't blame his coalition partners. He can't hide behind anybody. If this works, he's in great shape. He is then in FDR-like shape to then do the next ambitious thing, which is healthcare, post-Kyoto Protocol, education, these things that he wants to do. But if stagflation is the outcome of this, and I worry about the spending as a good small R Republican, I worry about the spending immensely. A $1 trillion debt, the largest nominal debt adjusted for inflation in history. That's a real problem. How can you do all the things that, frankly, Europe's gotten used to us doing for free? We're not going to do them for free, is the answer. And if it fails, you then have a horribly discredited president and nothing much happening. We saw that under Bush. The last 2 years of the Bush administration were pathetic. Nothing got done. Everyone knew his approval rating was lower than that of Satan. He wasn't going to get anything done, and so that's when the American system leads to drift. So there are extremes in all these things. I mean, I've taught constitutional law. I'm more comfortable with the American system, but part of that is because of the crisis that we're all in. I mean, it's the circumstances. If it were the mid-'80s in Germany and productivity in Germany was the highest in the world and there weren't an economic crisis, coalition government works just fine. The problem is the times, and the weaknesses of this system are shown up by these times, whereas Obama, the strengths of the American system, that you could pick a guy like Obama, by the way. Couldn't do that here. No Turkish guy's going to be chancellor anytime soon. And for all the talk about American race relations, we've assimilated more people than live in Germany. Everyone's an immigrant, with the glaring exception of African Americans and Native Americans. And we all know that terrible story. The rest of us are immigrants. Everybody went through the no Irish need apply, my relatives did. And yet, you know, I can do whatever I want, be whatever I want, generation on, no one cares. That is a huge strength, is that you're constantly importing talent. Carnegie, Henry Ford, Bill Gates, Wayne Huizenga. It's not that Americans are smarter, it's that this ferment of talent is there. And I like that better too, I have to say. You know, I live here in Kreuzberg. I love living here. It is a genuinely kind of old-fashioned American area with all kinds of people. And you know, the lady at the corner and I speak bad French to each other because she's lived here 30 years, came over from Ankara, doesn't speak German. Well, that's a problem. That's a real problem. By the way, greatest croissants in the world. They're great. But that's another hang-up I see coming that, frankly, the Americans, you know, for all their problems, don't have. So at the moment, I think systemically, decisiveness is favored, and this ferment to keep things going on a business economic front is favored. But obviously, there are problems to all these systems.